our third speech, I have a little note here that she agreed to be backup speaker a few hours ago because Paul couldn't do his speech today.
Excuse me, get your facts straightened out. Paul, she pleaded and begged with Paul to be able to do this speech.
I did not. You'll know why.
Alright, so this is Jan's 7th speech. It's from the Competent Communication Manual. It's project number 9, Persuade with Power, and the objective is to persuade listeners to adopt your viewpoint or ideas and to take some action. It's 5 to 7 minutes, and it's titled, Is Florida Killing People Too Fast? Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Jan Rutter.
Next month, one of my friends is going to be executed by the state of Florida. Let me repeat that, in case you think you didn't hear me correctly, because this is not a typical speech that I give. I have a friend of my family, a friend of mine, who is on death row for a murder he did not commit. And the governor has signed his death warrant. And in a few weeks, short of a miracle, my friend will be put down like a dog at a vet. You must be wondering, how do you know somebody on death row? His mother and my mother grew up together in the same house, like sisters. His mother needed a place to stay. My mother's family welcomed her in as a renter, and they became best friends. They grew up like sisters. When she married Walt Van Poyck, Lee was her name. Lee and Walt became to my sisters and my Aunt Lee and Uncle Walt. And that is how I know their son, Bill. Although I did not know him until the mid-'80s when I met him when he went to prison. So you wonder, why can he be on death row if he didn't commit a murder? Everybody in prison's innocent, right? Well, in 1977, Bill was on parole. He was a very troubled child since the age of 6. He was in trouble since the age of 6, in juvenile detention centers and everything else since the age of 6. And he was out on parole for a robbery that he had committed. And he wanted to free one of his friends he met in prison. He wanted to help him escape from prison. Bad choice, stupid choice. Smart man, stupid choice. The day that this man was to be transported to a dermatologist's office, he decided, this is the perfect opportunity. I'm going to go with my friend, my accomplice, Frank Valdez, and we're going to get him out of that van and we're going to help him escape. That was the plan. And it went horribly, horribly wrong. And a corrections officer was shot and killed when gunshots started to fire. He was a decorated war veteran, and he lay dead next to the van that was transporting this inmate to the doctor's office. The two accomplices were both charged with felony murder. Yes, according to Florida law, if you were involved in an act and someone is murdered, that is, even if you didn't kill them, but they're murdered because of the act that you're involved in, you are guilty of felony murder. There's no question of his guilt. It's the sentence that is in question. When I heard about this, actually it was many years later, when I became a private investigator, I thought maybe I can help him. I tracked down, this happened in 1988, I tracked down 10 of the 12 jurors, because 2 had already passed away, from Florida to New York, and asked them, if you had any idea that he was not the trigger man, is there any chance you would have opted for life without parole instead of death? And 5 of them gave me affidavits, written affidavits that said, yes, I would have opted for life without parole instead of the death penalty. Because since the trial happened, the Florida Supreme Court and the state of Florida have conceded that Bill Van Poyck, my friend, was not the trigger man, that in fact Frank was. As a matter of fact, the prosecutor told Bill's jury and judge that he was the trigger man. That same prosecutor told Frank's jury and judge that he was the trigger man. Both sets of jurors believed the person that was on trial was the trigger man, but there was only one. Frank had since confessed to the murder, and since then he was brutally beaten in prison. So, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the thought of a friend of mine, someone that I know, that my family has known and loved, could be put down in a few weeks for murder he did not commit. People do change in prison. Some people go into prison, good people, innocent people, and they come out hardened criminals because of everything they learned from the criminals that are in there. And then there are people that go into prison, good, hardened criminals, and whose lives were changed and completely restored, which is Bill. His life has been completely changed. The letters I get from him, Jan, keep your chin up. Don't worry about me. I am ready to accept whatever happens. I've made peace with God. I know where I'm going. I don't want you to worry. I've never met someone that is in a cell block, concrete walls, and finds blessings in his life every single day. All I wanted was to try and get his penalty phase changed from death to life. Yes, he's guilty by Florida law, like I said. There's no question about that. And I want to get him off death row and into life in prison, which is what he wants as well. Nothing short of a miracle can make that happen. And there is a petition. If anybody that is against the death penalty, or if anybody that thinks this case is different and that maybe he is not worthy of death in this case, please go to my Facebook page and see the petitions that's there and sign it. And perhaps we might be able to save Billy's life. That's all I'm asking. Please help me save Billy's life. Thank you.